And for the lady who needs no introduction, this is
Oh.
author Lauren Myracle, author of many books for young adults and tweens, which in their fabulousness have also been the subject of much challenging and censorship. And so we have a lot of questions for you about these challenges that you faced and so forth. And the interview today will be led by senior Layla Milkey. Can we have a close-up on Layla? There she is.
Hi, Layla.
Hi.
So can you get us started?
Yes, this is super
Wait, so Layla, you're a senior?
I am a senior.
Do you have all your college apps done?
Yes. Very.
Are you doing any early deadlines or anything?
No.
Okay.
Well, yeah. Oh, sorry. Yes.
Okay, I'll be quiet. You go ahead. Introduce.
Okay. Sorry. So we just want to know a bit about your background and kind of like your upbringing. We know you're from the South, and just in particular, if you can tell us a bit about your experiences with like the attitudes of towards homosexuality in the South.
Yeah, okay. Well, I was right up in the South, and y'all are in California, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So total opposite side of the country. Do you guys live in a pretty liberal area?
Yeah.
Well, I went to a very conservative Christian prep school. So I had a different, and plus it was, 5,000 years ago. So it was a different time anyway. But my parents were not crazy conservative. My mom grew up in a small little town in Tennessee called Martin. In fact, I was just there visiting. It was really cool, and the food was awesome. And we talked a lot about race relations and homosexuality there, too. And it was cool to see that this little town had grown up. But at any rate, my mom grew up in a family where her dad was the professor at the college, and he was kind of a pillar of the community. And she was always reminded, Ruthie, remember who your family is. You're representing not just yourself, but your family. And she got divorced, and when she was very young, and it was a huge scandal. And so it really was hard for her because it made her parents had a really hard time with that. But I think it kind of opened her mind up to the idea that people make mistakes, and sometimes you just have to go, you have to follow your heart. And so she, as a mom, was always really great about not insisting that the conventional way was the correct way. So even though I went to this slightly crazy but also awesome conservative prep school, my home life was, I was allowed to read whatever I wanted to read. I certainly didn't, my mom didn't talk to me about weight like a lot of my mom's friends did. That sounds weird, doesn't it? We talked about religion, but not in any dogmatic way. My stepdad was an affirmed atheist. My mom was more spiritual. I'm spiritual. And in terms of, I don't think anybody in my family, the issue of homosexuality didn't really come up for me until I was 18 and I got a job at Chili's, and a lot of the waiters were gay, and that was the first time that I probably knew some gay people before that and just didn't know it, because remember, I was at a Christian prep school. So it would be hard to be, at that point, to come out as gay. And I didn't have any out gay kids in my high school. Do y'all have some kids that are out in your school?
We have one. Yeah.
Would that be you? Yay! Well, there have been kids from my class who have since come out, but so now I'm getting derailed. So your question was, when I was growing up in terms of my background, what was my attitude, or what were the influences around me? My mom was very accepting, and she now she's an artist, so she has a lot of buddies who are gay, and so she loves that. Y'all went away. There you are again. So it was this weird mix of being told all along that I needed to be a good girl, being told by my teachers that sins would land you in hell. Not by all my teachers, but some of them. One teacher told me that my parents would be in hell. Sorry, Lauren, but they got divorced, so, there you have it. And yet reading books and thinking on my own. Like, I loved Flowers for Algernon, and I loved Judy Blume books, and so having somebody, thank goodness, like my mom, and then also my friends. We read, what are those books set in California? They're about this small town girl it's all in Haight-Ashbury, and the small town girl goes to California and starts a new life, and she meets a gay guy, and she's never met a gay guy. Does anybody know what I'm talking about? No? They're awesome. You have to read them. They made a movie out of them. I'll think of them in a minute. But anyway, so we read those too, and so we thought that was really awesome. And we all wanted to move to California and be hippie freaks.
Cool. So your first book, Kissing Kate, came out in 2004, and there was obviously controversy from that and then throughout your career. But we're wondering if you've seen any notable changes since 2004 with regard to like the responses towards your books, the controversy.
Well, first of all, let me say that so when Kissing Kate came out in 2004, there wasn't any controversy because nobody read it. So nobody knew that it existed. And I do occasionally get comments now from girls that either say, oh my gosh, thank you so much for writing that book, or from 12-year-olds who are just beginning to think about it, maybe who are saying, wait a minute, is this a book about two girls who kiss? That's weird. And then they'll write me back and say, oh, I read it, and they were just people. I'm like, yeah, that's, kind of the point. But that book wasn't the book that kind of landed me in the public eye of being a bad influence. The internet series books were. And it's interesting, and y'all are all young women. Are there any guys in the class that I'm missing?
No,
There are
all
no
girls
boys
school.
here.
All girls school.
Okay, all girls, cool. Well, I think that the reason that the internet series got so much negative attention and positive attention, but is, I think grown-ups are scared of female sexuality in whatever form it comes in, and that's freaky. Like, that's even freakier to some people, to some of the cultural gatekeepers, than blowing up things and guns and violence and zombies. And that, to me, is I'm such a staunch feminist. I feel like women are so strong and women should be able to own their sexuality in whatever form, it comes to them. But I think a lot of people would rather think that girls, especially girls who are still in school, are asexual and that are not sexual creatures yet.
Mm-hmm. Okay, this is a question about your writing process and kind of how you put yourself into your character's shoes when writing. And, well, sorry to bring it back to the homosexual characters, but we're like the great straight alliance, so that's our primary.
That's cool.
That's
so
no just
problem.
Like when you write about gay characters, kind of how do you put yourself in their shoes? How do you get started?
Oh, well, it's not any different from how I put myself in the shoes of any other character. And maybe as in some of your other classes or just in your own reading, maybe I've had discussions about, can a white writer write about black characters? Can a male writer write about female characters? Can a straight writer write about gay characters? And my thought is, we're all humans. We all have much more in common than we have things that separate us. And so, as a storyteller, it's not magical, and it's not like some muse pours into my brain. So I don't want to give that idea at all. But it is letting myself sink into that. You know what I think it is? I think it's just having an imagination. And some people have imaginations, and some people have other skills, like being able to find their car in a parking lot. That would not be me. And I think that maybe it's one of those inborn things. And so I guess it is a gift in a way to be able to say, okay, this is what my life is. If I'm this character, and then the other thing that I think about a lot, I had a mentor named Brock Cole. If y'all haven't read his books, you should. They're so amazing. He wrote The Goats and Celine. And he said, get it right. And it was such an obvious piece of advice, and also so hard to actually follow, but get it right. So I would always try to think, remember, Lauren, you're not writing a story to teach people things necessarily. You're not writing a story to get across your agenda or to get across your point. Let the characters do what they want to do. And so I did have to learn as a writer, it's kind of a progression to not try to guide the story the way that I thought it would go, but to let these characters, do what they wanted to do. For example, in Kissing Kate, I strongly wanted to have a novel about gay characters that had a happy ending, because at that time, there weren't very many that did. But the happy ending that I wrote was forced. It didn't work. Originally, Kate and Lissa, who were the two characters, ended up together. But my editor was like, Kate's not ready. She's not there yet. And I was like, fine. And so it was interesting to me to see how I was trying to force my happy ending on these characters when